If you were bitterly disappointed, as I was, by the dearth of tin-related analysis yet again during LME week this year, then I'm here to ease your pain, because in this short video I'm going to provide a succinct summary of the key drivers and outlook for the tin market. In terms of the overview, tin was largely overlooked by analysts during LME week, which is a shame because its fundamental situation at the moment is pretty strong. It's had the demand rebound, particularly in China and Asia on the solder side, and also it's seeing this ongoing disruption to mine supply in Myanmar and Bolivia, which is likely to persist throughout the rest of Q4. In terms of supply, digging into that in a bit more detail, I think mine supply remains the bottleneck in the tin market, a structural bottleneck really, because of abundant smelter capacity. I think supply disruption in Myanmar, mine supply, which is the main source of mine supply and oil supply to China, that's been quite significant. You've had disruption at the borders from pandemic restrictions, movement of workers, for example. You've had grade decline, which is a long-term thing in Myanmar, resource depletion over the last few years, rising costs. And you've also had a big flooding during the wet season over the last few months, which is a lot of the mines in the main kind of producing region, northeast Myanmar, the mines have come to a complete stop. So all of that's kind of come together for Myanmar to restrict the concentrate supply. In Bolivia, you've got the main smelter there, it's closed because of financial difficulties. And Indonesia, you're seeing shipments of refined tin kind of still recovering quite slowly, really, as it recovers from the impact of reduced production amid lower prices and pandemic restrictions. In terms of demand, electronics demand has been pretty positive. It's recovered quite strongly across Asia, so China being a notable example, but also places like Japan, South Korea, it's been rebounding as well. European and US physical demand still remain pretty quiet, however. I think touching upon ITA's annual survey of tin use, pretty recent, which I think is pretty relevant, the consumption fell about 5% in 2019, they're saying, based on their survey of consumers, and forecasted to fall another 6% roughly in 2020. I think solder demand was really the bit that was hit the hardest, forecast to decline about 8% this year, although the Chinese aspect of that has held up a lot better because it's recovered, as I mentioned. The global change in consumption for other uses in 2020, chemicals down quite significantly, tin plate booming, actually doing quite well year on year, and that's partly because of demand for food, restocking, panic buying by consumers amid lockdowns. Lead acid batteries doing quite well as well on replacement demand, but overall we're still seeing a decline. Next year we'll likely see a rebound, more in line with the general improvement in anticipated economic and industrial activity across the globe, really. But we're not expecting that to reach pre-pandemic levels. That's going to be a long slog. In terms of the market balance and outlook, I'd say there's still kind of limited major investor interest in both in financial tin markets and in storage of physical metal, for example. So the market generally is just a bit more reliant on fundamentals. I expect the market will remain pretty balanced in 2021. I think the marginal mine supply and refined supply are highly price elastic, but I think that basically the price that you're going to need to keep the market in balance and maintain that appropriate level of supply for demand is probably going to be a bit lower than this year, and I think that's because we're going to see some probably easing of the big disruptions to mine supply that we saw this year, related mainly to the pandemic, maybe, rather than to the lower prices. That's all for tin. For more LME Week insights, I encourage you to view our other LME Week review videos, which include a base metal markets overview, goes into base metals a bit more depth, and drills down into individual metals, the separate ones as well. So any questions on tin or any of the others, then feel free to contact me directly as always. Thank you.